Morning. I have a little bit of a different video to share with you today. This is a bit of my past. This is actually something that happened before I opened the Hobby Center. In fact, I'm coming up on the 40th anniversary of this event. If that doesn't make me feel old, I don't know what will. But anyways, this all came about because I was having a chat with my staff one Saturday. I was by the store and I was talking to them, and I said, yeah, remember that story I told you about serving Motley Crue at the Hobby Center? And they're like, no. I'm like, really? I thought I told everybody that story. It's kind of a fun story, and it's like, it's not every day you get to serve a fairly famous or infamous rock band in a hobby store. So, turn the clock way back. I am a clerk at Hobbyland, that iconic hobby store that existed in Ottawa on the corner of Slater and O'Connor. I started there at the end of August in 1985, and I had joined the team there as an assistant manager, which I found out really wasn't the case, but anyhow. And I was hoping to either take over as a manager of that store or possibly assume it from Mr. Williams, in order to take it over and keep it going in that spot. So these all turned out to be pipe dreams in the end. Little did I know when I joined on with them that this would be the last fall and the last Christmas, and the whole enterprise would wind down by Easter of 1986. But working there gave me the impetus and some of the knowledge and contacts and everything to start my own store. So that's basically the Hobby Center was birthed because of my experiences working at Hobbyland. But that's a whole other story, and I covered it a little bit in my store tour of all the different locations. I included Hobbyland's location as kind of a homage to where it all really started for me. But anyways, I digress. So I'm working at the store. It's October the 21st. And for some reason, there was a lot of turnover for some reason that fall. A lot of people went back to school. A lot of people went to other careers and such. So there was a shortage of help at the store at the time. I was a new hire. A fellow named Paul was a new hire. Jerry came on at that time. There was a bunch of new blood in there, and there was a few of the older staff that was still there, like Des and Craig. So for some reason, October 21st, I believe it was a Monday, I think Jerry took a personal day. He had to go look. He was looking for accommodations or something because he just moved here from Montreal. Somebody took a sick day. Somebody else didn't show up. Whatever the reasons, we were really short-staffed. Now, if you knew Hobbyland at all, when that store opened at 9 a.m. in the morning, I think it was 9, nothing was going on. And then about 11:30, as the lunchtime started, we had intense busyness from, say, 11 to 1:30 or 11:30 to 1:30. Really busy in there. Then it was dead for a while, and then when the offices let out for the day and that, we had an intensely business period which died out completely around 5 p.m. This is how downtown Ottawa worked back in those days with all the civil servants and that. You had intense periods of a lot of people, and then you had periods of very little. And of course, being downtown, you really had to go downtown to go there, so you were either a tourist or you had other business downtown. Not usually a place you gravitate to, except in the weekends. Weekends we had people that drove down there and visit us, but again, I digress. So this particular Monday, there's just me, Margaret, we called her Peggy Reed. She was like the cashier, so she would show up at about 11 o'clock, and she would be cashier for the busy periods. So there's Peggy, her, and then there's the owner, Bill Williams. He was about 73 at the time. He often didn't work on the floor, but on this occasion he had to because we were just that short-staffed. So it was the three of us, possibly Bill's wife. She was like the bookkeeper and administrator. She may have come on the floor. I can't recall. It was pretty busy. And I don't know if there was anybody else there. We were really, really short-staffed. So we're doing our business. The store gets full of people. We're busy. That's great. And some fellas looking for some service. And there are two guys and two large, kind of burly guys with them. I didn't know who they were at the time. And I can see the one guy, he had the sun-bleached hair and the tan and the stubble as one does kind of in the 80s. And my first thought was, boy, I wonder if that's David Lee Roth. Anyhow, it was not. So these gentlemen, they wanted to look at radio-control helicopters. So we were looking at the Kyosho fuel-driven models. They decided they wanted one or two of them. I forget now. So I had to set them up with the copters, with the radios, with the starters, with the fuel, and all this stuff. And really wasn't my area of expertise. If Dez had been on staff that day, he was our RC expert. He probably could have set them up. In fact, he could have probably sold them the things, set them up for them ready to run, and then they could have come back and picked them up later in the day or the following day, but that was not to be. So I did my best, and I hooked these guys all up with what they needed, the copters, all the various stuff. It was quite a sizable sale, especially in 1985. Like $1,200 was a lot of money in 1985, trust me. It'd be more than double that now. So I get them set up as best as I can. We get them to the counter. And Bill Williams, he was, everybody loved him or whatever. They always have Bill Williams stories. So he's kind of a gruff old guy. Like I say, he was about 73 at the time. So he's up at the cash with Peggy trying to handle the onslaught because we're so short-staffed. So these two gentlemen and I guess their bodyguards, they come up with their purchases and that. Bill kind of peers at him and he goes, "What are you guys, some kind of theatrical group?" And the blonde one laughs and he says, No, we're Motley Crue. We're in town for a concert today." And all of a sudden the light goes off my head. Oh, that's who you guys are. So clearly the other guy was Nicky Six. He was a bit taller. He was black-haired, and since then I've known the band a little bit. And I know it wasn't Mick Mars, and I know it wasn't Tommy Lee, so it had to be Nicky Six. So I'm all like, ooh, because I waited on these guys and sold them stuff. So as one does in the 80s, this is before the internet and everything else, I said, nobody else is here today. We're the only ones. All these guys are off sick or on personal days or whatever. They're not going to believe me. So could I possibly impose on you for an autograph? He was very kind. It's in my scrapbook, Us old people, we keep scrapbooks from our old past. I'll give you a close-up of this later. So basically, what I have here is an autograph. It says, "Bill, thanks for your help. Keep rocking. Vince Neil, Motley Crue." Very kind of him. And then just to give it some provenance, I clicked out a picture of him performing at the Civic Center that night. And then just to put a date on it, because I probably would have forgot, we had their parking voucher. There was a paid parking lot right behind the store, and you could get your parking ticket validated by us, so you wouldn't have to pay parking because you made a purchase at our store. So I have this thing, and it's got October 21st, 1985 on it. So having these all together, it kind of gave me a face, it gave me a date and a location and everything else, so that when I get old like I am now, I can remember this stuff. And just for laughs, I did look up the event on Google, and it did confirm that Motley Crue did play in Ottawa on October 21st in 1985 at the Ottawa Civic Center. And I think it said something like 4,800 fans attended that concert. Because at the time, as I recall, on Much Music and MTV, Smoking in the Boys' Room was their big hit at the time, and that video that went along with it. Because I kind of chuckled and I said to Neil, I pointed at Peggy and I said, if you ever do a video like that and you need a character, Peggy is definitely a character. We kind of had a nickname for her because she had kind of a high-pitched, squeaky voice, and when she called you for help, she was like, "Bell, Bell, come give me a hand." And, well, we loved her. She was a wonderful woman, but it's just like all of us, she had her quirk, and I said, "Yeah, you ever need to do a video, I consider putting her in it." So basically, it's not a big story, but it's kind of a fun story, and it's not often you meet people that end up being that famous. I mean, it's 40 years later, and I think Motley Crue is still out there in some form, touring and playing and whatnot. So I'll always wonder if they got those helicopters going, because somebody would have had to install the servos and whatnot into the helicopter, set it up and calibrate all that. I mean, helicopters were pretty primitive. I don't even know if we had gyroscopes and things like that going in 1985. I mean, there was a big revolution in radio control stuff, in the late 70s into the 80s, servos and everything, all the stuff got smaller, more compact, lighter weight. There was a real revolution in technology, which has continued on today with drones and all the electrics and all the other things that have happened in the hobby. So I'll never know if they got those things together, if they got them flying. I'd be interested to know, but I have no way to find out. Anyhow, that's my Bill Meets Motley Crue story. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed telling it, and as I say, I thought I told pretty well everybody I knew that story, but apparently I didn't, so now I have it on video to share with everybody. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, don't forget, please subscribe, slap that bell, hit that like button, and join Team Hobby Center.